Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Zumi and today I would like to share with us the story of how I ended up moving to Canada from Nigeria. And I thought to myself that since this channel is a place where I hope to share with us my Canadian experience as a Nigerian, so what better way is there for me to start off than to share the story of how I ended up migrating to Canada from Nigeria after having lived for the first 30 years of my life in Nigeria. Yeah, so and I'm gonna start the story right away. So so I'm gonna start it this way. I got married to my husband after seeing him only once. And our wedding took only 2 weeks to be planned and executed. Yes. I know it sounds bizarre, but even if it doesn't sound strange to you, yeah, it sounds strange to me, considering the fact that I didn't even plan that I didn't want to, I wasn't interested in getting married, not to talk of now rushing into marriage as it appears. So, but I'll tell you how it all started. After my university education and my youth service in Ogun State, I decided to move to Lagos to go and search for greener pastures. I was interested in the movie and sorry in the music and fashion industry, but somehow I didn't have any plan. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anyone that would introduce me, but I just felt that, oh, let me just go there. Things will work out somehow. So for the very first year, I kept dilly-dallying. I was just like hoping that somehow someone will come and meet me and say, you know what, we know that you're into this thing. We're going to help you. But of course, it doesn't work like that. So um, for the first 1 year, I didn't really apply for jobs. But after about a year, my relatives that I was staying with, they started encouraging me to look for a job that at least, even if it's not what I love doing, but hopefully I can be able to raise funds to kind of carry out my own dream with time. So I started looking for a job from then. And it wasn't still easy. There were jobs coming and all that, but the pay was just so horrendous. It was so low that it would amount to servitude. Like by the time you finish taking your transport and all that, you wouldn't have anything. So I told myself, no, this is not what I want. So I kept searching. But in the meantime, thankfully I had a friend and he introduced me to someone that was into, like, he had a sewing place, and kind of he paid for the apprenticeship fees and all that, so I could be able to start learning there, and I liked it. I learned how to make men's clothing. Yes. Although I wanted to learn female, but this guy was doing male, so I said, you know what, let me start with the male, then when I have the opportunity to be able to do the female, then I will do that. So for about 11 months I kept learning with him and I was doing so well. But then I came to a point in my life, where I was very depressed and discouraged. I was dealing with a lot of things. First of all, I was dealing with a breakup with a very close friend that I really liked. um I didn't have any money of my own because I was just doing apprenticeship. I was doing the work, but I wasn't getting paid. So I didn't have any pocket money or anything. I was really suffering. As a girl, there's some things you need. I didn't have the opportunity to have them. A job wasn't forthcoming for me to be able to say, okay, I'm even on the path to, getting these my dreams kick-started. And I was losing my self-esteem and everything, because you're like, it's as if when the people you go for interviews and it's just not working out, you begin to say, am I even worth it? I was becoming depressed. So I took permission from the person that I was learning on that how to sew. I took a week off to go, rethink my strategy and pray to God and really know how to go about, this issue. So, and I plan to go to the church at least in the morning, take the whole day, go there, pray, meditate, think about my life. So at least I wouldn't see anybody, hopefully, during the weekdays, except maybe the church staff there. So, but when I went there the very first day, by the time I was done praying and all that, and I wanted to go home, I noticed that there were people moving around in the church office area. So I asked them what's going on, and they said that the new pastor that was brought on board was kind of running prayer sessions and prayer meetings where people could come in, join to pray for the church and also pray for each other's needs and all that. So I said, you know what, I would like to join them. So I joined them that day. And after the prayers, I felt really encouraged. My spirit was revived a little bit. And I said, you know what? I think this is going to work. I'll come here, join the prayers. And afterwards, I'll also pray my own personal prayers and then think deeply into the situation where I have found myself and know the way forward. So that was how I started coming there. And I kind of extended the 1 week into 2 weeks, but it wasn't even up to 2 weeks after I started joining the prayers. One day after the prayer sessions, the pastor called me aside and said that he had something to tell me. So he said that one of the brothers that was coming for the prayer had told him that he wanted to connect me to his brother that lived in Canada, but that was in Nigeria visiting at that moment. So I felt, I felt even like insulted in the sense that I I believe that I had what it takes. Maybe is it intellectually, is it beauty, is it inner qualities to be able to find a man of my own. So I'm like, I didn't fancy or enjoy the idea of being, the object of someone's matchmaking fancies and all that. So, but the pastor encouraged me and he was like, you know what? Sometimes it's not that you're not able, but you never know how these things come. You may be wanting it to come in this way, but it might be in the other way. And I thought about it, but I just couldn't, reconcile myself to it. But he just encouraged me. And out of respect for him, I said, you know what, I'm going to come. So the next day, the cousin came, you know, the Canadian cousin came and he was actually leaving for Canada that day, but he just made out time to come see me before going to the airport. So, but I wasn't really interested. I just tried my best to be polite to him. And after that, he left. And that was it. I didn't even hear from him and I didn't care. I didn't even look at him. I just, looked through him. We just spoke and that was it. So, but after 3 months, from nowhere, I started receiving text messages from him. I'm like, where is this one coming from? But, he kept persisting and I'm like, okay, let me just respond out of respect. And I started responding to his messages and all that. And then after some time, like after talking with him for like 3 weeks to, going into months, I realized that he was actually a nice person. I'm a very spiritual person. I take my faith in God, and, my following Jesus, I take it very seriously. So, and I saw that he had the same, he was not just like a Christian by mouth. He believed like in integrity, honesty, truthfulness, hard work, all those kind of things that unfortunately are not very much celebrated in our Nigerian society today. So he was that kind of person. I saw it through the way he spoke. He didn't know I was kind of observing him, but I was able to discern these things in him and I was like, oh, this is nice. And I began to like him, So, and somehow I started opening up to him my challenges and things that were going on in my life. And he was very encouraging during that period for me to kind of start getting better and all that. So, after speaking with him for about 3-4 months, and we started talking, we talked a lot and all that. He proposed to me over the phone. And by this time I had already brought my pastor into the picture because I was concerned, like, who is it? Like, I know that I don't really know him. And my pastor also wasn't really interested in me pursuing that idea. But then somehow we were able to find out that one of the pastors in his church in Canada had worked with my own pastor for 15 years. And my pastor knew that pastor as a person of integrity. So he said, what do you think about this guy? And the pastor had good things, great things, amazing things to say about him. And that was what sealed the deal. So I knew that what I had perceived, what I had discerned in my spirit was actually true about this guy. So that was what gave me the courage to be able to, even start talking about marriage with him. But then I'll tell you one big dilemma that I had when he proposed on over the phone. I didn't know what he looked like. Because like I said, when I saw him the first time, I didn't really look at him. I just looked through him. I was not really happy to be there, to see him. So I didn't know what he looked like. So, but by the time we started talking, I said to myself, let me go check out his Facebook and see what he looks like. but he didn't really have pictures that I could refer to at that time. So I didn't know what he looked like. Was he tall? Was he short? Was he like someone that could be appealing to me physically, attractive to me physically? Because in as much as I was more interested in the spiritual qualities of the person, but as a human being, as a girl, I wanted to know, is this someone I'll be able to say, yeah, meet my husband? But then I just told myself, you know what? In this matter, you have to go for what is more important. Are you interested in the outward qualities, a handsome guy that might end up beating you and boxing you? Or do you want someone that has the same beliefs? And if you say yes, he will say amen. And I ended up having to walk by faith. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go. So I said to him, yes, I will marry you. And it was so beautiful. So we agreed. We tentatively put the wedding plans and all that for 6 months ahead. But somehow, I don't know what happened during the Christmas season. I don't know whether it was the euphoria of Christmas. I don't know what it was. But somehow, in January, he said, you know what, I'm coming down. Let's get married. Let's get married. And you know what? I'm thinking to myself that maybe he knew that I was a good catch. And he didn't want any other guy coming to take me away. Just joking. Who knows? Maybe. So maybe I'll have to ask him what made him change his mind. So he was in such a hurry that even like he couldn't get to, his family had already their plans and everything for this month and all that, and he wanted them to go meet my family, but they were all busy, and they were like, you know what, why not we move this thing for a little bit ahead so that we can prepare? And he's like, no, sorry, which cousin is ready there? So he ended up being that cousin that linked me to him, and they sent him to go meet my family, introduce the family and all that, speak on his behalf, and that was what happened. So after that, he came down, and by the end of January, he was back. And the wedding took 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks to be planned. I didn't even know what to do. I was just like in a daze. So his sister, my sister-in-law, an amazing woman. They are all amazing. I'm telling you, she took over everything. We made arrangements, and in 2 weeks, I did my traditional wedding and my white wedding. And one interesting thing about the traditional wedding was this. That was the very first day my mom met her son-in-law to be. Yeah. And I know it sounds strange, but the thing was this: all through my childhood, because I came from a background, a broken family, my parents didn't have the very best of marriages. So because of that, from childhood, I used to say, I don't want to marry. I don't want to have anything to do with a man. And my mom used to think I was even having issues. She would bring pastors to pray and cast and bind. When they're done, I'm saying, are you done? I'm still not getting married. So she was even like, during that period, she was actually in a retreat praying, and she said God gave her assurance that don't worry, Zuma is going to come settle down when she's ready. And then I called her over that weekend. I said, you know what, there's this guy. So she was like, she knew that this was the person. She just knew. The Spirit gave her peace of mind. She was like, my spirit is at peace. So that was the very first day she met her son-in-law, and everything went beautifully well. And that same day, like a typical Igbo bride of those days, because of the speed that we needed to be in Lagos to finish off the planning for the white wedding, I had to go back to Lagos with his family that same day. So I went into the car and I was so emotional. I'm like, oh. So I'm now like, how did I end up being a bride? 2 weeks ago, I was carefree, living my life, and now suddenly I'm getting married, But somehow I just was able to go through everything. And my husband, thankfully, he's an amazing man. He was everything that I was able to discern that he was, thankfully. And his family, they have been so amazing. I'm telling you, my sisters-in-law, my brothers-in-law, they hold me so like I'm like a baby in their hands. And I know that so many people cannot say that. People that have even like checked out people for themselves ended up maybe in not so desirable situations. And I'm not saying it in a bad way, you understand? I just ask myself, how possible could this be? This could only be a miracle. How come is it that I am doing abroad marriage? I didn't even do courtship, more so to speak, with this man, but I end up getting a really good man from a good family, very supportive family. So what am I trying to bring out from this? Another thing I want to bring out is this. Like, it took me 2 years, almost 2 years, like 11 months or so. No, 2 months, a year and 11 months to be able to end up joining my husband in Canada, because we had to go through, we first of all tried to do temporary visas and all that, because we really wanted to be together. But because after 3 months of marriage, we stayed together for 3 months, and then he left, and then I didn't see him again until 2 years, almost 2 years, like I said. So, and all this while we're trying to process the papers, and I can tell us more details about how everything went in another video. I don't want to go there, but I'm just saying that that's one of the prices I had to pay, for marrying someone from abroad. And so he wasn't there he just found out that I was pregnant as he was leaving for Canada, after our 3 months stay here after wedding. So he just found out I was pregnant, and that was it. He couldn't come down again until 2 months after I've already put to bed. He just saw me pregnancy, through pictures and all that. And it was so, in as much as his family was there for me, but it was also very emotionally tasking for me, because I'm like, the man, like, this is my first pregnancy and he couldn't be here. So that's one thing you have to watch out for, that being able to join your spouse if you end up going this route. So there's a couple of things I would like to say about this whole story. I'm not here trying to say, yay, everybody go ahead and marry a stranger under 2 weeks and all that. No, never. Because I'm looking at it, if I knew what I know now, I probably wouldn't even have gone this way. But first of all, like I said, I was just naive. I didn't know anything. So I would say this about marrying someone, like long distance marriage. It's risky, very risky, considering what's going on in Libya, all these human trafficking and all that. And people promising people, come over here, come and do this, but it's for something else. It's very risky, but it's not impossible. So if you are even ever considering it, or you're in a situation like that, you really have to walk with your eyes open, do your research, be very prayerful, and don't be shy about anything. If you see something that is not acceptable, don't say, let me manage it. Okay, after all, when I go to Canada or when I go abroad, whatever, don't even try it, because people have lost their lives. People have, it's not easy to live abroad, and you don't want to be in that situation without having the support of family and all that, to be able to say, oh, this person is not saying what he said he's not being a true husband. You are just on your own. So you really, is risky, but you may not, I'm not saying it's completely ruled out, because as you see, somehow mine turned out to be a good deal. And then secondly, I want to say, avoid jumping into long-term commitment in your moment when you are either living in fear for whatever reason, or you are in depression. Because I believe that maybe that the depressed state I found myself also contributed to me maybe unconsciously being willing to try out something that I wasn't even interested in. Like I said, I wasn't even interested in marriage, but that maybe I was depressed and he was there for me. So, but and it turned out good for me, but I'm just saying, for some people, if you are saying, oh, let me just get married and let people stop disturbing me and telling me you're too old, you need to marry, let me get married so that this, if you do that, you might end up making the wrong decision. So that's one thing you also want to watch out for. When you are depressed, it's not the time to enter into long-term commitments. Marriage is a lifetime commitment for people that really like fear God, and nobody wants to go into a marriage that they know is going to break. Although some things happen even after doing everything, so things could happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, Then thirdly, I want to say this: ask all the necessary questions, because I found out that the questions I didn't ask when we were dating, or when we're talking over the phone, were things that came up to, try to haunt our relationship in the early stages. Things like, how many children do you want? What kind of things do you want in a wife? Do you want a sit-at-home wife, or a wife that you're okay with your wife being out there working? Maybe is it in the entertainment industry, whatever? Are you comfortable with that? And all those kind of things. So if you don't ask some kind of questions like, what are you doing, this and that, those days growing up in Nigeria, in the churches, they taught us that it's carnality for you to want to know like how much a brother makes, does he even have a place to live, this and that. As long as he's a brother, he fears God and he went to school, you're good to go with him. But I'm here to say that that's not true. You know, you have to really know, are you guys compatible? You have to ask certain questions. You have, if you don't, if you say, oh, I'm going to marry him with or without, a time will come when those issues will come up. So you need to know where he is at to know whether you are able, are you comfortable to meet him up to where he is or not. You understand? So that's another thing I want to bring out. You have to ask the necessary questions. Ask all the questions, even if it's as if you're being too forward. This is something that's going to involve you going out to another country or to another place far away from home. So you really want to know. And for sure, you know, am I willing to do this? You need to count the cost. And also, like I said, it took me a long time. And this one, I believe my own is not even long. There are people that have stayed years. I know of a family, like a lady that her son was like 6 7 years and the man has not still joined. So like I said, it's very risky. Some people that are coming down to Nigeria to get married, maybe they have abroad wives, this and that. These are realities. I know that some people may not want me to talk about these things, but these are all realities, and you don't want to find yourself being caught up in the midst of someone else's mess and baggage that they have not dealt with. So abroad marriage as it is very risky. It's very risky. Don't forget Libya. Don't forget what's happening to people in Saudi Arabia and all those places. Africans are going through hell. So don't let yourself be a statistic in that situation. So, and again, finally, I would like to say, you know, you have to watch and pray. Watch, look. Don't just pray, say, oh, Father, Father, Father. Look very well. If you see what you don't like, don't say, oh, he's going to change. They're not going to change. So if you see something you don't like and you're not able to address it, you know, you could enter into trouble. Watch and pray. You know, don't fall for outward appearance. Don't say, oh, he's showering me with gifts, he's sending me dollars. No, you could enter into trouble. I still want to say I'm so grateful to God that I was able to get a really good guy, like, and from a wonderful family. And I don't know how it happened, in spite of my ignorance and naivety. So, and that's how I end my story today. But I just want to say, if you enjoyed my story and you would like to hear more of this kind of things, you know, you want to hear about my experiences in Canada, you know, giving birth in Canada, how is it like, you know, living in Canada, you know, how do we do with the deal with the homesickness, with the craving for Nigerian food, all those kind of things, you know, how do you interact with the whites here? So many things that are out that could be in your mind. So those are the kind of things we're going to be discussing. And another thing is I'm going to be sharing so many tutorials and recipes, like how I'm mixing up Nigerian dishes with the Canadian concepts and all that, to be able to save money, so I don't have to keep going to spend hundreds of dollars in Nigerian market to come back with only a small nylon bag of food. You know, those kind of things. People that like, you want to make your hair, you want to sew clothes and all that, those kind of things cost, they will cut your neck here. If you say you want to make your hair, it costs lots of money and all those kind of things. So like how I am being able to, you know, navigate through all these things and still live happily, you know, living in Canada, enjoying Canada, but also maintaining that African, that Nigerian side of me. So with this, I come to the end of today's video. Please like, share, and subscribe, you know, for more content like this. And with that, I say goodbye from Canadian Niger Diaries. Bye.